the core subject material of this presentation is the idea of connecting with customers in the digital age. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means. But the main areas of focus are going to be search engine marketing, social media marketing, and content marketing, which may be an area that is new to you, the idea of content marketing, but it's something that we see as being critically important in the future, something that to us represents a major opportunity for brands, and we want to really talk through that with you and show you what we're seeing. A little background on me: I have had the opportunity over the last 20 years to work with a lot of companies, a lot of brands who come to us and want to take advantage of digital marketing tools. So if you think about the last 20 years, all of a sudden you had Google come along, you had Facebook come along, you had Twitter come along, you had Google Plus come along. All these things have evolved over time, and every one of them is a new opportunity and a new challenge and really a new head scratcher for a company that's trying to take advantage of it. So I've spent my career, the last 20 years, helping companies unpack those things and helping them understand what they mean and getting a chance to sort of be at the front row and experiment with what works and what doesn't work. I have the privilege to work at an agency called Findsome and Winmore, which evolved from a website development company when websites were really the sum total of digital marketing. We have evolved the company into a digital marketing agency that does a number of different things. We changed the name of the company. The company is growing pretty rapidly, but what we're finding is the real need that companies have now is not just in a very solid web presence that works well, that's mobile friendly, all those things, but that they're taking advantage of search marketing, social media marketing, content, understanding their audience, all these things which are super critical. And that's really what people come to us looking for. In my world, I get a bunch of questions, and it's whatever your career is. You get questions about what it is that you do. I've often imagined a doctor. I have a doctor who's a neighbor, a couple of doctors, and I'm always asking them about, what should I be doing for my health? This knee is bothering me a little bit. What would you recommend? In my world, I don't have a medical degree, but I have a lot of experience in seeing digital marketing things happen. And so these are the big questions that I get. Should I be on Facebook? Is blogging a waste of time? The big one that I get often is, how do I get to number one on the search rankings? And I call these very simple questions with not so simple answers because they're just that. I think oftentimes someone asks one of these questions and wants a very quick answer, but really it's kind of a long, drawn-out response. Similar to if you go to a doctor and say, how do I lower my blood pressure, or how do I take care of my heart for the future? They need to know something about you. They need to know about your genetics. They need to know about your risk factors. Do you smoke? Do you exercise? Are you willing to change? All these things. And so we find ourselves in that same conundrum and unable to give very simple answers to questions that sound simple, but they're very important. So in addressing some of the bigger questions of the day, I have written this book called Found. And Found is a book that's available on Amazon.com. It's also available on Kindle, and there's a website called foundthebook.com where you can go get a lot of information about the book. But it is my attempt to help companies understand how all these pieces work together, how all their questions and all the mysteries and all the things that they want to take advantage of can really come together. So one of the biggest questions is, why the parachute? What does a parachute have to do with digital marketing? And to me, this is pretty important, and it's a metaphor that I use in the book. And it becomes a thing to think about if you're a brand and you're trying to connect with customers. And the idea is this: it's a scenario, a hypothetical, which is a little silly, but I think it makes a point. If we're all sitting in this auditorium and you're listening to this riveting presentation, and someone walks in with a parachute and interrupts and says, I've got a parachute on sale. If anybody's interested, they're $100. They're usually $150, and we're having a sale. You'd probably look at that person and think he's insane, and you'd think, why in the heck is he coming and making this offer? He's interrupting. He's being rude. This is ill-timed. It's not really important to me, and it's just a waste of my time, frankly. If you contrast that, if the group of us got on an airplane And we're traveling across the country, and we're at 30,000 feet. And the captain comes on, like the captain likes to come on and say, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Captain so-and-so from the cockpit. We're going to be coming around with cups and glasses, all these things." And he says, "Oh, by the way, there's a really big problem. We got an issue up here. The plane's going to go down. Make some of your last final phone calls because we're in a lot of trouble. We got no plan B." At the same moment, that parachute salesperson gets to the front of the plane and says to you, "By the way, folks, I'm here with parachutes. They're on sale, got plenty in stock." I think we'd all have a different view of that parachute salesperson, right? We'd be very interested in what he had to sell. So the idea behind this concept is that marketers ought to be in tune to these moments in time, what I call parachute moments, when what you're trying to sell is of critical importance to the audience, okay? And that's just how I define it, that parachute moments are those moments in time when your customers most desperately need your product. And so given all of the distractions that we all have today, this is very important and a very critical component of what we try and help companies do. We all have limited resources in terms of marketing, and instead of just spending your time interrupting them with advertising, the idea is to think about how can we position ourselves to be there for them when they need us most. So that's the concept, and that's the parachute.